November 25. 165 B.C. Feast during 8 days, commencing on the 25th of the Hebrew month Casleu, of the dedication of the temple, repaired and purified by the care of Judas MacabÃ, being the anniversary of its profanation 3 years before by the order of Antiochus Epiphanes. 1185. Lucius III Humbaldo Allineigoli, Pope, died. He was twice compelled to fly from Rome to avoid the popular tumult. He established, with the countenance of the Emperor Frederick, constitutions for the punishment of heretics, which may be considered as the origin of the Inquisition. 1542. Battle of Solway Moss. The Scottish army under Sinclair defeated by an inferior force of English under Dacres and Musgrave. 1547. Henry II, of France, caused the following to be proclaimed: "We forbid all booksellers, printers, etc., under pain of confiscation, to print any book relating to the Holy Scriptures." 1560. Andrew Doria, the famous Genoese admiral, died. He distinguished himself in the service of several Italian princes, and finally achieved the liberty of his own country, of which he refused to accept the sovereignty. 1624. Richard Crakantorp, an eloquent English preacher, died. He was also an author of merit. 1626. Edward Allen died, an actor of great reputation in the reigns of Elizabeth and James I, and founder of Dulwich College. 1651. Henry Ireton, a Republican general in the English Civil War, died. He possessed great abilities and uncommon valor, and deserved the friendship of Cromwell, whose daughter he married. He died at the siege of Limerick, and was buried with great pomp in Westminster Abbey, but at the Restoration was dug up and exposed on Tyburn gibbet with Cromwell and Bradshaw. 1687. Nicholas Steno, an eminent Danish anatomist, died. 1694. Ismail Bulialdus, an astronomer of the Isle of France, died. 1748. Isaac Watts, an English dissenting divine, died, author of several valuable works on subjects of divinity, and whose hymns and poetical version of the Psalms are still in general use. 1758. Fort Duquesne taken by the British and Provincial Army, 8,000 men, under General Forbes. The French garrison, deserted by the Indians, being unequal to its maintenance. In compliment to the popular minister, William Pitt, it was named Pittsburgh, and has become an important place at the head of the Ohio. 1759. Battle of Chenjura, in the East Indies. The Dutch defeated by the British under Colonel Ford. 1760. Tripoli nearly destroyed by an earthquake, shocks of which had continued nearly a month. Balkh was entirely ruined. 1766. Zachary Gray, an English scholar and divine, died. He was the author of 30 publications, the best known of which is an edition of Hudibras, with curious and interesting notes. 1770. Philip Morant died, a learned and indefatigable English antiquary and biographer. 1774. Henry Baker, an ingenious English naturalist, died, aged 70. 1775. Eusebius Amor died, a distinguished Bavarian ecclesiastical and theological writer. 1780. Naphtali Daggett, 5th president of Yale College, died. He had previously been professor of divinity, was a good classical scholar and a learned divine. 1783. New York evacuated by the British. The Americans under General Knox took possession of it, and received General Washington and Governor Clinton, who made a public entry into it. 1785. Richard Glover, an English poet, died. He was a merchant by profession, who made a proficiency in the belles lettres, and acquired an enviable reputation as a citizen. 1785. Charles Tamar, an eminent Spanish mathematician and engineer, died. He was employed in the army, and in the construction of canals and roads. 1789. A Jamaica paper of the state states that 2,300 Negroes had been imported into that island from Africa within the 4 weeks then preceding. 1792. Battle of Liege. The Austrians under Steyr defeated by the French under Dumouriez, and compelled to cross the river. 1795. Stanislaus Poniatowski, King of Poland, deposed by Catherine of Russia. He resigned his crown at Grodno, and was permitted to retire into Russia, where he died 3 years after. 1816. The new theater, Philadelphia, illuminated with gas lights, under the direction of Drive Cooler, being the first theater on this continent thus illuminated. 1833. Nicholas Esterhazy died. Prince of Este, Field Marshal and Privy Councillor of the Emperor of Austria. He was at one time one of the richest subjects in Europe. The choice to wine is made from his fruitful principality, upon whose estates were the largest flocks of sheep in Europe. 1835. Robert Goodacre, a distinguished English lecturer on astronomy, died. 1837. St. Charles, in Canada, taken from the Patriots by the British troops. The Canadian force consisted of between 3,000 and 4,000. Their loss was 200 killed, 300 wounded and 30 taken prisoners. 1840. A Negro woman, in Virginia, gave birth to a Lucius nature, in the shape of a child with 2 heads, 4 arms and 2 chests. The formation was that of a single child. It did not survive. A living and perfect child was born at the same time. 1851. Battle at Sarajevo, between Carvajal, with 350 men, and Jaggi, the Mexican general, with 320 men and 2 pieces of artillery, into a storehouse, which he held until aid arrived, and Carvajal's troops were dispersed. 1852. The canton of Ticino, in Switzerland, suppressed the order of Capuchin monks, and expelled all of that order under 65 years of age. 1853. J. W. Gunnison, an eminent United States topographical engineer, was killed by a party of Utah Indians, while engaged in the survey of a route across to the Pacific. 1854. John Gibson Lockhart, an eminent Scottish author, died at Abbotsford, aged 59. He succeeded Gifford as editor of the Quarterly Review in 1829, but is best known by his Life of Walter Scott. 1854. John Kitto, author of many valuable works on biblical literature, died at Stuttgart, aged 50. 1855. Admiral Bruat, a noted French naval officer, died on board ship, aged 59. He had been governor of the French establishments in Oceanica, and was sent as commander of the French fleet in the Black Sea. 1855. A revolution at Montevideo which lasted 4 days, in which 100 persons were killed, and many wounded. 1855. The town of Kars, after a siege of 7 months, its garrison being reduced to extremities, surrendered to the Russians on honorable terms.